Okay, guys, ready or not, here we come. I think we got our technical issues resolved. Well, that was an embarrassing 1.5 minutes of nothing, and I apologize for that. But here we are, and we are again in Christchurch, New Zealand. It is a cold and rainy day. It's fall here, but I have my tea, so here we go. Thank you for hanging in there while I tried to figure out what the technical difficulties were. Um, you know, I'm streaming to a couple of different platforms, and unfortunately, when I do that, there's always a potential that something could go wrong, and something, of course, did go wrong, unfortunately, this morning. Um, we've been talking about Vantage Travel for the last couple of days, but I wanted to start today with a story that I had this morning on my site on Elliott Report about travel refunds because it goes directly to some of the issues that we've been talking about before. And that is, why are travel refunds taking as long as they are? And there are several reasons for it that I actually explained in the story. They are none of them are particularly valid or good because you deserve a refund when something goes wrong right away. Right now, the Department of Transportation has a 24-hour rule, which means that if you have second thoughts about your airline reservation, you can get a refund within 24 hours. And it also requires that airlines and travel agencies refund their tickets within roughly 6 days, plus or minus, and 20 days if you've paid by cash. There are no such refund rules, though, for other travel products, which makes it very difficult. You can't force someone to repay you quickly because there's no rules that say that you have to force them to repay them quickly. But briefly, what I mentioned in this story was that there are a lot of problems on the back end with refunds since the pandemic, and there have been also a lot of requests for more refunds from travelers, and that's what's caused a delay. But in some cases, the refunds are caused by other things, notably just a cash shortage. So the the refund situation is something that I'm keeping a very close eye on. My team is keeping a very close eye on it, and we are trying to get you your refunds as quickly as possible when you contact us. Um, One of the interesting questions that I had about refunds was relating to what is being done with the money once, if a company has your money and is not giving it back. And I think that's really fascinating because, one of our readers said that slow refunds are not just they're not just uh, an inconvenience to us, they're also unwilling loans. So if a company has your money for, say, a year or so, it can earn interest off that money, and that's great for them. They can use the money to operate their businesses and pay, and handle payroll, things like that. But ultimately, it is a loan from you, and it's an unwilling loan, and it's also, the worst part is, it's an interest-free loan. Um, Another interesting comment that I got was, why can't we have some national legislation that specifies a time frame for a refund? If a delay is beyond 45 days, that we actually end up getting a penalty or something like that. Which is to say, the company pays a penalty, and we maybe get interest or something similar to that. I think that that's actually a really great idea. Like I said before, we have we have a rule at the Department of Transportation for airline refunds. If an airline owes you money, it has to repay it quickly. So anywhere between 6 to 20 days. And if it doesn't, you can file a complaint with the Department of Transportation, and it will look into that. Now, I do know from talking to people who have filed DOT complaints that they have a huge backlog right now. Last year was the second busiest year for refunds from the DOT. Uh, and really, for actually, it was the second busiest year for complaints filed to the DOT. And so they are busy working their way through all that. They don't have a very large staff, I know that. Um, but the bottom line is, and I hope you'll go read the story, is that there are When I talk to travel companies and I kind of hold their feet to the fire, that they'll say all kinds of things, but they never will admit to actually keeping your money as a way of staying in business. So they don't look at this as an interest-free loan, even though I think that from our point of view as consumers, we do see it as an interest-free loan, and it's a very discouraging thing. I did promise an update on the Vantage travel situation. Um, I think we've covered a lot already, but let's go over what we already know. Vantage Travel, about a week and a half ago, stopped responding to emails. It went dark. The phone lines weren't being answered. The website went down. And on Friday, actually on Monday, Vantage finally came out with a very brief statement saying that it had some system problems. And then it came out with a new website uh, with just one page that said, okay, here are the cruises that are operating. And it listed 4 cruises that were still running. However, it also contacted a lot of my readers and said, we're canceling your upcoming cruise. They also sent notifications out that their airfares or their airline tickets were being canceled. And so there's just a lot of uncertainty. Now, I want to be really clear about this, that I have reached out to Vantage every day, uh, both by email and also by phone, and I've asked them questions about what's going on. Can you help some of these readers with their questions and tell them what they should be expecting? And unfortunately, Vantage has not responded to any of those questions. They have not called me back and they have not emailed me back. And we are only left to speculate with what's going on over there. Now, I have received some questions from readers, and I wanted to just take those. Um, One of them is from a reader who said that her trip to Holland, which was supposed to leave on April 28th, was canceled by Vantage Travel on April 23rd. She received a text message saying that her trip was canceled. And yesterday she says she sent them a request for a cash refund. And the question is obviously, will we get that cash refund? If I had to guess right now, I would say you will not get a refund from Vantage Travel. The rate things are going, I don't know if anyone is going to get any of their money back. If you paid by cash, so I'm assuming that you paid by ACH, you transferred it from the money, you may be able to call your bank and see if you can initiate some kind of a dispute. I know that other people have actually filed disputes through their bank, even for transfers like this. Now, the law is a little bit fuzzy on this. If in terms of transferring money, usually you can't transfer it back. But I've heard from some readers who say that they've initiated such a transfer, their bank allowed it, so you may be able to do that. Now, if you've paid by credit card, you can definitely file a credit card dispute, and the 90 days don't count. Most credit card companies, if they suspect that an operator if there's a cessation of business of some kind, they will allow more than 90 days. So you can go ahead and file a credit card dispute, and you may be able to get a full refund for that. Now, another really interesting email that I got was from someone who worked with Vantage. Now, this was not a Vantage employee, but an independent contractor. And he said that his last tour with Vantage was in late January. I have not been paid for my services going all the way back to October. So apparently, this is not just happening to people who are asking for refunds. He continues, we're talking about $15,000 in salary. None of the colleagues that I know have been paid for about the same amount of time. My point of contact stopped answering emails weeks ago. At first, when I got this email, I was a little bit skeptical. And so I asked for proof that this person worked for Vantage. And he sent me his employment contract. So I know, and he sent it to me very quickly. So I know that I verified that he actually works with Vantage. If Vantage is indeed not paying its own clients or its own contractors, then this could be a very, very serious issue. I don't know more, and like I said, I have been reaching out to Vantage to try to find out what's going on, and they have not responded to any emails or any phone calls. If they did, I would happily put a statement up here, or would even have someone on the live stream to talk about what's happening. I would love to be able to do that, but unfortunately, that is just not happening right now. The question is, what should we do if we have a Vantage trip booked in the future? We know that there are 4 trips that are still going, and those are listed on the website. If you have a future trip that's booked on Vantage, this may be a time to, at the very least, come up with a plan B. Plan B being, what if I can get over there, but the cruise doesn't leave? Do I have a backup plan? Can I maybe get a hotel or something like that? Something good to think about right now. But if I had a trip coming up on Vantage and it had gone into total radio silence, which it now has done, I might try to get a refund for the trip right now and see if I can claw back any of that money either through a credit card dispute or by going to my bank and seeing if I can dispute even the ACH. Now, again, I don't know if disputing an ACH payment is going to work. It's just not something that I deal with here very much at the advocacy organization. But some people have said they've tried it and have gotten some good response from it, and banks willing to help them get the money back. We just don't know very much. I hope you'll take a minute to read over the story that I wrote about slow refunds that appeared today on the Elliott Report. I think you might find it very helpful. If you have a problem with Vantage and you need help, feel free to reach out to me at elliott.org. Okay, so I'm just reading over some of your comments here. All right, thanks, Bob. Yeah, I actually I figured out the problem with the stream, and it was just something really silly on my end. So anyway, we have another question here from, let's see if I can actually show this here. I settled for an e-credit for my trip to Bali that was canceled. My 2 partners went for a refund. As it turns out, I couldn't use it with my miles for my replacement to Bali next month. The e-credits expired at the end of 23. I can burn some. Let's see if I can continue this. I don't know if it's possible to continue this, but I got the gist of that from you. Thank you for the email. The advice that I have always given and that my advocates have always given is that if you get an offer of either a full refund or a credit, even if they give you an extra 20%, it's always better to get the money back. And the reason why is, during COVID, we had lots of operators that potentially could have gone under, but fortunately didn't. But we had some that did, smaller tour operators that went under. And then now we have the situation with Vantage Travel where we just don't know what's going to happen, but it's not looking very good. So if you are able to cancel, or if your tour operator cancels and they offer you either a refund or an e-credit, always take the money and run. You can use the money to buy another tour if you want to, but even if they offer you an extra 20%, that's just not worth it. Let's see, I've got another, not Vantage, Delta and COVID 2020. I'm not sure if that's relevant to anything. Wow, I can't believe we got some really good questions here. And thanks, Bob, for the heads up on the technicals. I appreciate that. I will be back tomorrow with more, and hopefully no technical problems and no long, lengthy intros where I'm going, what does this button do? I love being here with you guys, and I love helping. So if you have any questions, send them over to me. We'll see if I can display the website here again, is elliott.org, but you knew that already. And enjoy the day. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit warmer than we're having here in Christchurch, where I don't know, it looks like it's just going to be very, very cold. Winter is almost here in Middle Earth. They do call it Middle Earth because they filmed all the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies here. Anyway, talk to you all later, and thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.